Welcome to another edition of Driven to Lead. I'm your host, Wayne Brannon. In this program, we explore the real stories from key executives to find the leadership lessons that drove their success, whether in good times or bad. We got a great program for you today, so let's make it happen. We're very fortunate today to have with us Kevin Iden, president of Iden's Dealer Services in Renton, Washington. Kevin, how are you today?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, doing wonderful. Sun's still shining here in Naples. I love it. Really impressed with your business because you've done something not a lot of entrepreneurs can do. You've built a business in the auto detailing space, and you've connected with much bigger businesses, a lot of car dealerships around the Northwest, and you've done that in a way that I haven't seen other businesses like yours do it. So tell me a little bit about Iden's Dealer Services, how you got started, and where you are today.
Yeah, we decided a long time ago that we were going to focus on servicing car dealers. Car dealers, big and small, all have the same needs. They need to get these cars retail ready as quick as possible to the highest quality level so they can get them sold and turn that inventory as often as possible throughout the year. So we've developed a program over 30 years of working on it to, get exactly what the dealer needs as far as speed to market and quality work at a fair price so that they can maximize their gross on every unit.
And I think it makes sense to market this to dealers because while they can do it themselves, and many do, it's really not their core business, right? They want to
Right,
sell the vehicles. They want the service and parts business for sure, right?
right.
But the some parts of reconditioning and pre-delivery kind of work really could fall on someone else. That's something easy to outsource, I expect, especially when you need somebody who's really good at it. It's not easy to bring some young kids in and pay them, $13 to $15 an hour and expect they're going to do this job right. So you've professionalized it while letting them outsource and keep the costs down. Is that a big part of the success story?
Yeah, I mean, that's correct. So dealers are great at sales and service, and they get a lot of OEM support in doing so,
Sure.
but they're not great or really don't know how to do what we do best. So I liken it to, when the lawn needs to be mowed, they don't send the GM and the used car manager out there screaming at the lawn and everybody's, trying to get it done or paint the building or
Right.
certain things make sense to outsource
Yeah.
because that's what those people do best. And it allows the dealer to focus on sales, service, the customer experience while we nail the rest. So we give them a one-stop shopping option for getting those new car. Most of the dealerships we service are new car dealerships. So
Okay.
new cars come in, the mechanical PDI is done immediately afterwards. We're
Hmm.
unwrapping them, wash, wax, vacuum,
Yeah.
windows, dress tires, preloading certain things on some of those new cars, depending on the dealer, and shooting the photos, uploading them onto the site so that that car is frontline ready or
Hmm.
showroom ready or ready for delivery if it's pre-sold as quickly as possible. And then usually when that car is sold, there's often
Yeah.
a trade-in. So we're doing the same thing after the UCI, used
Yeah.
car inspection or safety
Hmm.
inspection.
Yeah.
We're getting that thing detailed as quickly as possible and then
Yeah.
managing all the other parts of the reconditioning certain process from, if a car needs dents or the wheels are curved or
Hmm.
bumper needs to be touched up or rock chip touch up or leather repair, whatever else it needs done. We're getting all that stuff done immediately after detail, shooting all the photos, getting it back online and getting that thing marketed to sell as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Now, do you do the body shop work if there's body work that needs to be done,
We
or
don't. We don't.
okay, you
Body
outsource
shop
that?
work, yeah. If it's
Okay.
minor
Hmm.
cosmetic stuff,
Yeah.
then we
Red
manage the
pops and that kind of
vendors.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we manage the vendors that get those kinds of things done,
Right.
which is, 90
Right.
something percent of the cars. But every once in a while, something needs to go to the body shop. It usually goes to the body shop before we
Now,
put it through
I
our
think
process.
I think you told me when we talked earlier that you also do some add-on accessory installation, right?
Yeah, yep. So when the new car is sold, most dealers are offering them some sort of paint sealant, fabric sealant, leather
Right.
sealants. The clear bra, the paint protection film, PPF,
Right.
is real
Yep.
popular now to protect against rock chips, window
Sure.
tinting. So there's a number of things that the dealership will offer when they're selling their new cars, and we apply all of those.
Yeah, that's great. Now, when you were a kid growing up, I know you told me you played sports, you rode dirt bikes with your dad. Did you think you were going to get into the automotive detailing business? Was this something you aspired to? How did you get started with this? I mean, what was the passion as a youngster? We always tell young people you need to be passionate about something to make it work.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
have some idea back then that you're going to be doing this?
Not exactly. Um, my dad was a hard right ex-Marine. You weren't going to get any spending money out of him unless you did something for it. So he was
Hmm.
real OCD tight about his
Hmm.
yard and his cars and everything else. So at a very young age, he's like, "Hey, if you want $1, you get out there and mow the lawn or wash the car." So you know, I started doing the neighbors and there was no internet back then, so I made flyers, posted them all up over the neighborhood, and kind of built up a clientele of
Hmm.
doing yard work and cleaning cars in between sports and school, and I liked it. And I liked doing the cars, I should say, better
Right.
than the yards. So I
Yeah.
started really cutting back on the yard work and doing more
Yeah.
and more cars.
Sure.
And as I was going to college, I was definitely trying to figure out what I was going to do, some kind of a business. Meanwhile, I'm still detailing cars on the side, and I went to work
Right.
for a couple of places in the industry. Went and worked directly for a dealer for a short time. I realized quickly there that most dealers are fumbling with this. All they're doing is
Hmm.
coming back and yelling at the detailers to hurry up and not miss anything. There's no proper training. The equipment's just obsolete. Just everything. There was no um, standard operating procedures for turning out what the dealer's looking for. And then after we were done with the cars, the detail, then they had to work with multiple vendors. And it was just so much time was consumed to finally get this car retail ready. And a lot of headaches, hassles, involvement by, every department head. And you could just tell it was a big nightmare. So it wasn't a good environment where I was at. So I went and worked for the typical mom and pop retail detail shop on a corner, and I found out that it's seasonal, it's weather
Hmm.
related, it wasn't consistent. So we'd call the dealers and around town once in a while looking for the cars and or seeing if they had any overflow or had any needs, and you know they always did.
They
And
always did, yeah.
yeah,
That was
it was.
interesting. So you kind of did your own market research there, where you're calling to see if they needed help, and they always did. I like
Yeah,
that.
I didn't realize at the time, but for sure that I was just like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, there's definitely a need for dealers. And rain, snow, or shine, they're getting in cars all day, every day, and they need these things done. And so yeah, my dad was buying a car in the late 80s, and I met
Yeah.
the auto dealer. He told me about a new brand of cars coming out called Lexus. Nobody had ever heard of them yet.
Yeah.
Coming out by Toyota. He said he was getting the first Lexus point in our area, and he said, get my business license, get my stuff together because he doesn't
Hmm.
want to deal with any of that stuff. So when I
Yeah.
first started, I had two things on my menu, a new car detail and a used car detail. And then
Hmm.
um, after working there, I realized, man, there's a lot of other vendors that are coming on these lots and
Hmm.
fulfilling these other needs of the dealer. So I went back to him and said, hey, wouldn't you want me to do any of these things? He said, heck yeah, I want one-stop shopping. I don't want to mess with all this stuff. So
Right.
that's where it kind of grew from there. And we started expanding not only into his stores as he kept
Yeah.
buying stores, but into many others. And now we service over 100 dealers between 34 locations in
Yeah.
Renton, Washington.
And you have what, two or 300 employees?
Yeah, just under 300 at this time.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, let's talk about that for a minute before we move on. I just was interested in, one of the reasons why, I mean, dealers do a lot of things well, and some of them do this part of the business well, and they insource it and they manage it, and it's great, but it's difficult for these things like just with your, with things like detailing, your car porters, your tire and lube guy, the entry level positions in the dealership are difficult because you got a lot of young people.
Mhm.
and they're not necessarily, or they're certainly not the same in terms of the work ethic that you mentioned you grew up with, where you only got a buck if you worked for it, right?
Right.
And they have different ideas about work-life balance, not being judgmental, but just saying it's difficult to manage typically a younger profile or an entry level person, get them motivated and get them trained. So you must have some secret sauce for doing that to be as big as you are and have so many employees and so many customers because your profile of your employee is probably the toughest in the industry to manage.
Yeah, it's no one thing. It's for sure a combination of um culture. And what I mean by that is just, from the onboarding process, well, from the interviewing process to the onboarding, um, the respect we show to people, and then we've got everything that a person could want. We have flexible working schedules. If they're a student or they're a parent,
Hmm.
or whatever they have in their life that limits them to what days
Hmm.
and hours they can work, we do our best to work around it. We got every benefit a person could want or need, but it's really about the culture and how we treat our people, and having that career path and supportive servant leadership style, not the old school do it or else style. It doesn't work with especially this younger crowd. So, what we do is not glamorous. Cleaning cars all day, every day. It's uh it's physical, it's hard work.
Hmm.
Doing it in dealerships that are, high demand, and we're trying to turn these things in a
And it's pressure.
yep,
They got a customer coming in for a delivery in a few
yep.
hours. You got three cars you got to get out. Yeah,
Yep.
it's not
Yep. So
easy.
how do you get a person to do
Yeah.
their best on that car with a smile, uh, on time, correctly? It's
Yeah.
just all about the training, support, and how we get those people to feel. The two main driving factors in our business are we try to make it the best place in our industry to work, and we
Hmm.
try to make it the best option for getting these services done versus any other option, using somebody else, trying to do it
Hmm.
themselves or whatever. So
Yeah.
to kind of dumb it down for us, everything we look at is try to,
Yeah.
hey, is this make it a better place for our people to work? If not,
Good for you.
we're not doing it. And
That's great.
same with the
I love it.
dealers.
Yeah, I love it. And as I go through, a number of podcasts looking for these, pearls of wisdom in leadership, success, the principles we learn along the way, the lessons we learn along the way. So many people are like yourself, great successful executives, entrepreneurs, founders of businesses. Um, they tell me that it's about the culture and they tell me it's about the way they treat the people. So I'm not surprised at all. It's, of course, what I also learned in my career working with people. I went from early in my career thinking I was competing with people to by my mid career, loving the collaboration with people. And near the end of my career, loving my people like a family, and it made all the difference. And that's why when I do business consulting now, and I do executive coaching, the thing I focus on the most is moving leaders to the point where they become they become an inspirational source of guidance and support for a team, as opposed to a driving hit the goals, strategy is mine and you need to execute it kind of style. So I'm not surprised to hear it. I'm really glad to hear it because a lot of small businesses don't really have that mindset and they don't value the people to the extent that they should. And obviously, it's played well for you. So,
Yeah.
Kevin, as we move on kind of into the next section of our conversation here, I think the audience would really like to hear about some of the stories in your business where it's been difficult, perhaps where you've overcome some hurdles, or maybe it was just an opportunity that you seized where you took the business from one level to the next. Maybe it was some a strategic play or some other aspect of leadership, or maybe exemplifying some of the aspects of leadership you've already discussed here in the way you run the culture in your company. But yeah, tell us a story or two. Set it up for us and see if you can help us to understand how you've worked your way through the real life situations that contributed to your success.
Yeah, again, I think getting back to the culture, how people feel about what they do, regardless of their job, is just, going to be vital to how that business does. So, getting back to what we do is very uh, process and system driven to where everything's put out, I, I use the example of a quarter pounder with cheese up the street here tastes the same as the one in your town. And it's because they don't bring a bunch of people in and say, hey, just cook them up the way you do it at home. There's a very specific procedure to everything. So
Yeah.
every new car detail that our company's doing as we speak, every used car trade in, everything we do, we follow a specific procedure and process. So that way we can put out a consistent quality product. Um, when people are practicing doing it the same way and the correct way all day, every day, they get better at it, more efficient. Um, and then the dealership knows what to expect. And if we miss something, we can figure it out that we're in the quality control process. We missed it. We can go back and fix it and learn from it.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't realize those first couple jobs I had a couple of bad bosses and a couple good ones too, but
No, nobody's ever had a bad boss,
yeah.
really.
And I didn't think it at the time. I'm
Yeah.
blessed and grateful that I did because um, I remember doing my best at work and just the way these guys treated people, just and the way you felt. I thought, man, I'm never gonna make somebody feel that way. So
Right.
it's cliche. A lot of people talk about it, but it's just ultra important, I think, in any business. I have lots of friends with different types of businesses and different industries, and I mean that's one thing that the successful ones with the least amount of turnover and we have a lot of people that have been with us for 5, 10, 15, 20. One guy just celebrated his 25-year anniversary. So we
That's
make big
fantastic.
deals out of those anniversaries, dinners, plaques, just really
Hmm.
try to make sure that they feel like they've got that work family culture that they love.
Hmm. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love that. And I expect that it's because you do have the ability to keep people with you a long period of time like that, that you have a kind of a senior level of folks who are really there to kind of take this culture and really train and develop the young people who come in. So what's the churn rate on the people you bring in? Do you keep more than half of the people who get into this, or do you churn more out than you keep? And I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, that's probably accurate. And we really try to do our best in that first interview to not candy coat it. We do the interview during a work day with a
Hmm.
with a location manager, and part of
Hmm.
that interview is we show them live and in action what they're going to be doing. We show them, give them a
Right.
shop tour and make sure that they
Hmm.
see it because last thing we want somebody to do is come in and think it was, oh, we were just going to drive nice new cars around the lot. No, we're not. That's
Right.
not what we're doing. So we want to make sure that it's something they visualize themselves doing and want to do.
Hmm.
Um, and then we just we we have a great training program. Every one of our managers has been promoted from within, so we have that career path that people can follow if they want to get into management. Um, one of our highest producing people in our company, he has zero interest in managing, and we can't talk him into it. So
Okay.
it's okay. He's a super introverted, just quiet guy, puts in his headphones and just cranks cars out. And that's okay. We need people like that too. But,
Right.
if it's somebody who uh, sees themselves being in a supervisor role, we'll work with them on getting to where they need to get to be an assistant manager of a
Hmm.
location. And
Sure.
if they prove themselves as an assistant manager, then they're eligible to be a location manager at some point in time.
Right.
We also have other people that, after a while detailing cars, it's very physical. And after a few years, some of these guys are like, man, I love working here. I love this company, but I can't do this anymore. And they don't want to be in management. So they'll get into something more technical, like the window tinting or the paint protection film. A lot less physical. All of our installers we've got 30 something full-time installers. Most every one of them came out of detail and got
Okay.
trained and is now applying the films to the cars. So
Hmm. Sure.
some of the admin positions in our company
Hmm.
are full-time. I call it in-house handyman, but our facilities
Hmm.
manager, he's just all day, every day driving around in a van full of tools and fixing pressure washers and vacuums,
Hmm.
buffers and everything else.
Right.
He used to be a detailer.
Hmm.
Our inventory manager used to be a detailer, he does a great job at the inventory. So we've got a lot of, I think any organization is you're bringing people in. You don't know who's who in the beginning, but you want to try to get to know who's who and what they want,
Yeah.
they're looking
Yeah. Yeah,
for.
for
And,
sure.
might just be a stepping stone job where they just need something for now while they move on to what they're looking to do or what they're going to school for. And that's okay. But if they came for a job and you're hoping they'll stay for a career, then you've got to invest some time getting to know them
Sure.
and figure out
Sure.
how you can help them
Yeah.
get there.
So was there a key moment in your growth? Because you if you go from zero to where you are today, there must have been a few inflection points where you had to make an incremental investment or you had to make a an incremental decision about what you were going to do to run this business. Tell us about one of those key moments where you had to had to make a strategic decision to run in a different way to grow the way you needed to.
Yeah, well, I will say the most life-changing, most difficult one was going from one location to two.
Okay.
At a young age and at any age, anybody's going to
Yeah.
realize this, you can't be at both at the same time. So how do you
Really?
get
Okay.
how do you get both to
Yeah.
run as well
Yeah.
as if you were there at both of them at the same time? And
Right.
that's a number of things, SOPs and
Yeah.
processes and
Right.
developing your people to be able to. Yeah.
Yeah. Having people you can delegate to and trust,
Yep.
right?
Yep, totally. So that was, I mean, I really, I wanted to give that second one back to the dealer. I was just overwhelmed and what it took. Um, and then, but we got so good at that processes and procedures and everything, going to 2 to 3 was not a life-changing event. And when we went from 33 to 34, it's no problem.
Right.
It's we go in, we bring in our veterans and
Mhm.
backfill with newer people
Right.
and get everybody trained and up to speed and
Yeah.
we don't miss a beat. We don't miss a car and and we don't dilute what we already have going on to add a new one. So
Good for you.
it's been
So what's the
great.
vision then? So now that you can replicate, you got this process and this system figured out and you don't miss a beat. Why aren't you in 200 dealerships someday?
Yeah, well, we might be. So
Okay.
just over 10 years ago, we had 10 locations. Now we've got 34. So it's really the scaling and
Right.
the at the speed that we're adding them now is
Hmm.
accelerating. So I'd say those first many years that we were in business, we're really
Hmm.
building that solid foundation so that we can
Right.
replicate and scale it. And now as time's gone on, now we're getting more and more dealers that are just going, man, I just want to get this all off my plate. I want to focus on sales and
Sure.
service and the customer experience. Have you guys mess with all the rest? And so it's a perfect kind of best of both worlds. It's, as one of my dealers put it, we put an all-star team in there to handle all this. They can focus on what they do.
Sure.
And together,
Yeah.
a lot of our dealers are breaking records.
Yeah. So do you just let word of mouth between dealers kind of drive your business up, or do you have somebody out there with a PowerPoint deck selling the features and benefits of the one-stop shopping and what Iden's Dealer Services can do for them?
Yeah, I
How do you
think
grow?
we built a bit of a reputation in our area, so more and more dealers have heard of us at least,
Hmm.
and there are
Hmm.
other dealers that are telling them what they've done and handing out
Hmm.
what it's done for them, the
Yeah.
ROI that it's
Hmm.
provided them versus trying
Yeah.
to do it themselves or whatever they used to do.
Hmm.
And so, we get more and more dealers. Probably the number one salesperson for our dealer is when we have a manager leave a dealership and
Hmm.
go at that we manage all this stuff at, and they go work for a dealership that we don't. I mean, it might be a week, it might be a month. They're calling, going, holy smokes, you got to get over here and fix all this. Saying, well, no problem. Tell your owner
Yeah.
we need a meeting, and we'll sit down
Yeah.
and talk to them about what they got.
Yeah.
So, um, I will say that not every single dealer's a perfect match for us. Um, we've had many dealers that want us but then they don't have any space on site to provide that for us to occupy. And we
Okay.
can't do what we do out in the parking lot or in the street. So,
Right.
we have some dealers that would love to have our services, but they just don't have quite enough volume for us
Hmm.
to pencil out for us to have a full crew there and
Right.
manager and everything that
Hmm.
it takes to run them. So we need a certain amount of volume, need adequate space on site to
Hmm.
do it. And then,
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, when we get an inquiring dealer, we go sit down with them, talk to them about what they've got going on. And even some dealers that aren't a fit, we've been able to help them with some advice on, who they're using or some of the challenges they're facing, and which we're happy to do. So, yeah, it's been
Good.
fun really just, going in and helping solve these pain points and issues that so many
Hmm.
dealers have. And
Sure.
if I had a dealership, I'd be looking for a professional third party to team up with. And in doing so, of course, there's a lot of guys out there with a bucket and a hose think that they're in the detail business. So,
Right.
take a look at them. Are there people in uniforms? Are they all I-9, background verified?
Yeah.
Um, or what's their business insurance look like if they
Hmm.
damage a vehicle or there's a
Sure.
harassment? I mean, there's just so many
So many things.
things
Yeah.
that if that third party's properly set up can take off the dealer's plate, but if they aren't, it can become a liability as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I like that. What are the biggest risks going forward with your business, do you think? What are you concerned about? I know a lot of businesses, I was talking to a guy who had exhaust systems not too long ago, and there's concerns about EVs. They don't need exhaust systems, or there's lots of other risks now in the business with certain brands. Anything in the horizon for you, or is this all upside?
And one challenge we face here in the state of Washington is the cost of doing business. It's one of the most expensive states to do
It
business.
is. Yeah.
Um, our minimum wage is, double what it is in other parts of the country. So that's definitely margin compression. So we have to run it really lean, really tight to still offer, fair and competitive pricing on each of our services
Right.
with also taking good care of our people and benefits and 401k
Right.
and everything
Right.
that we do to invest in them. And so that's, our challenge internally is just constantly working the best we can to run it as efficiently as we can, so that there's a little margin left over at the end of the day. And so
Yeah, that's
we
the
are
idea. Yeah.
considering looking at other opportunities. I mean, we've had inquiries and interest from dealers from all over. So, um, it's easier for us to continue to add them in our own area. But luckily, with a younger
Mm.
workforce, we have a lot of people that are not married or tied to this
Hmm.
area that
Hmm.
are willing to go to a new market and help us build
Right.
a new market. So, if we get an inquiry from what would be a good dealer partner in another area, I mean, one of the first things we do is comb our roster and figure out if there's anybody on our team that'd be ready and willing
Yeah.
to move to
Sure.
that area. And if so, then we could put our team behind it and get something going and then and grow that market.
Yeah, that'd be a way to scale, for sure.
Yep.
And there must be some dealer groups in your portfolio of dealerships that have stores in other locations as well.
Yep. Yep.
Would
And
love for
some of
you to
those
be
dealer
there.
groups are already asking us, hey,
Yeah.
how, where can we get this going
Mm.
elsewhere? Because
Big opportunity.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think just in summary on the things that we've learned through this conversation, I really appreciate it, Kevin, is that not only have you grown very fast and successfully, but you've done it by bringing some people along with you. And I really like that you talked early on about the culture and how important it was. I like the proposition of delivering consistently for the dealers and giving them a one-stop shop. I mean, the proposition, the value proposition for that is tremendous, and I think that that's been in great part where your success has come from. But you can only deliver consistently if you got people who are going to understand that they have to deliver with the highest level of quality and the highest level of professionalism. And so you've trained them and you motivated them by treating them right, through respect and flexible working conditions and through the benefits packages. And, I think the two things you talked about as the kind of the guiding stars are really important for us to understand when we're setting strategy. A lot of us like to do these elaborate business plans with a vision and a mission and the core values and all this. And I love them. I mean, I think it's great to get your mind focused. But when you start communicating out to the team, it needs to be simple and it needs to be compelling. And you said two things that kind of summarizes. I was taking some notes here while we were chatting, and I think the two things you said that make sense is that you focus everything you do on being the best place to work and the best value for the money and for the result for your customers. So being employee focused and customer focused, surprise, surprise, those key fundamentals about putting people first and really believing it and putting a culture together that delivers it. Amen. I think that's fantastic, and I think that's why Iden's Dealer Services is successful and is going to continue to grow and be a great business. As we kind of wrap up our discussion here today, Kevin, first of all, anything else you'd like to add or say that we didn't touch on?
I think we covered most of it.
Okay.
For us, it's the people business, and again, I know a lot of people say that, but I truly believe most businesses are, regardless of what widget or service or whatever
Yeah.
they're offering. Um, you know, building a good team, building that trust with your team. Um, that's your foundation, and
Right.
good, happy employees are going to take care of your customers. So, in our case, again, what we do is not real glamorous. So how do we get our guys and gals,
Yeah.
lots of both, and we
Right.
get them to show up on time and with a smile and do their best for our dealers that day. It's all about how we treat them. So,
Yeah. Good for you.
and
That's
emphasize that
tremendous.
enough.
That's tremendous. So, just a couple more questions. So, if I ask you now to look back and say you could give some advice to your younger self, let's say when you're 20, 25, 30, whenever it would be, what would you tell yourself? What piece of advice would you give about leadership and leading people, driving a company forward?
Do what's right from the beginning. Do what's right. Don't
Mm,
sell yourself short. Uh, Take care of the ones around you the best that you can,
mm,
and that's no different than what we did. So
yeah,
the, those are the keys to our success over the years. Of just always, you're going to drop a ball once in a while. Admit it, fix
yeah,
it, move on.
yeah. Step up. Yeah, it
Yep.
takes integrity and honesty to step up to the mistakes as well and make it
Yeah.
right.
Yep. And then
Right.
constantly look for ways to get better. We
Good
just,
for you. Yeah.
this is, I don't know if there's any business you can just say, okay, cool, we got it. Now put it on cruise control and sit back. And no way. I mean, at least us,
Go out on your sailboat. Yeah.
yeah, we just, got to, every day we're trying to figure out how to make it, again, a better place to work, a better option for our customers to get these
Mhm,
services done. And I
mhm.
think if we constantly do that, we'll be okay.
Yeah, you'll be all right. So let's fast forward now, 20 years. Okay, I'll be really old, but let's imagine we're still here. So you and I are having a beer, a glass of wine, sitting in a cabin in the woods, looking out over a beautiful lake at sunset, and we're reflecting back on our lives and our careers. What's the thing that you'd tell me you're most proud of?
The team that we built, all the people that are with us, there's so many that came here as an entry-level detailer. Now they're managing a department or a location. They have families, they have kids. The dealers that have told us how we positively impacted their bottom line
Right.
and took a lot of their pain points and headache. It's just, it, I get a lot of satisfaction knowing that we've got a lot of good people that are doing well, and dealerships that are happy with our services, and those are our goals. And so we're we're I don't know. That's what gives me. I still love what we do. Um, it's challenging, but there's so many things I'm grateful for.
Well, just to echo your remarks, I worked a lot of years with a lot of people, more than 80 countries around the world, and okay, we hit some objectives, we made some money, we gained some market share, and that's all important. I love to win as long as it's not winning at someone else's expense. But all of the awards and all the memories of those goals, while it's great. The thing that really turns me on is when I get a phone call or a text or an email from one of the people I used to work with, one of the people who were on my team, and they talk about the time we had together, how much fun we had, how much camaraderie really became a part of our lives, and we built that family because that's what really matters. And it isn't really about the fact that you need to do that to create the highest levels of success that you've done. It's really about the relationship itself and how important it is. But it has all of these ancillary benefits of driving your business forward and making those people care as much about your business as you do, because you cared as much about them and their families as is possible for someone other than themselves. And they realize that. And when they realize that, they'll run through walls for you. And it sounds like they've run through more than a few for you over the years. So congratulations, Kevin. That's
Yeah,
really,
thanks. Thanks.
yeah.
It's been fun, and we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah, good for you. Well, I look forward to staying in touch and maybe getting an update on your story at some point. But thanks for being with us today. I think the things you've talked about are simple, but simple to say, but difficult to do. And clearly, I think you've inspired a lot of people that they can do this too, if they really, kind of put their heart and minds behind it. So thanks a lot, Kevin. Appreciate
Yeah,
having you with
thank
us.
you. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for being with us. If you like our conversations, please feel free to hit the subscribe and like buttons. And if you'd like to make comments, ask questions, or even explore being a guest on this program, you can reach out to us via email. It's wayne@greatroad.com. That's WAYNE at GR8ROAD.com. And until next time, always remember, the high road leads to a better place.